What's going on, guys? Welcome back to The Art of Violence today. What I want to talk about is the fight that's actually happening tonight. I'm a little bit late on this. Definitely should have made it earlier. My bad. Oh, well. I want to talk about why Dustin Poirier is making a huge mistake by bringing his daughter to the UFC event that's happening tonight with Islam. I think it's UFC 303, which I'm going to have to swing by my local Buffalo Wild Wings to probably catch, see if there's maybe a group of homeless people all watching it on one iPhone. Maybe I could just bum it off them, watch it with them. Probably have to take a shower after to avoid the smell. Hopefully one of them has it on and I can just sneak in there or maybe pay the fee to watch Islam beat the hope and dignity and morals out of Dustin Poirier, which is most likely what's going to happen. I really don't see it going any other way. I'd be shocked if Dustin Poirier made it past, I would say probably 2 rounds. I think within 2 rounds, he's going to get finished. He's going to get probably, I don't know. I think Islam can just beat him everywhere. Islam's improving rapidly. You know, he sat there with Volkanovski, who's a much better striker than Dustin Poirier is, and, battled him for 5 rounds, landed many punches on him, rocked him several times. And then eventually in the second fight, I ended up knocking him out in the first round. I think it was in like the first 2 minutes. So, man, I really think that Islam Makhachev could beat Dustin Poirier literally everywhere. But most likely, if it hits the ground, probably the smart thing for Islam to not give Dustin Poirier. It would probably be the smart thing for Islam to not give Dustin Poirier any sort of chance at victory. Just take him down, submit him, ground and pound him a little bit, and call it a night. Probably be the safest road to victory for him. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see what he does. However, I think Dustin Poirier is making a huge mistake by bringing his daughter to the fights. That's the thing I wanted to talk about here, because this is a very interesting topic that I think has a lot more ramifications and kind of like side detriments or dangers to it than just bringing your family, simply. The thing is, fighting, family, love, happiness, they don't really go together. They don't really go together. And I see this mistake that a lot of fighters make where they have their family cage side. And, I mean, yeah, you could do it. You just got to understand, like, if you get knocked out viciously, your kids are going to see that. And you might... It's likely you could give them childhood trauma for the rest of their life by seeing you get flatlined in front of the whole world in a huge crowd, and especially at that age where you can't really process things the same way you can when you're an adult. I think it's kind of detrimental to a child in many ways, and it's also detrimental to the fighter because, again, you're mixing 2 things that just don't go well together. It's like when I see fighters like kiss their girlfriend or their wife before the fight. It's like, why are you doing that? Why are you mixing 2 things that don't go well together? You're going to go in there and try and kill someone. Why are you bringing your wife into it right before the fight, which is going to momentarily take you emotionally out of that and potentially mess up your mindset a little bit? Why would you even do that? I just don't get that, especially your daughter, you know? Why would you bring your daughter? He's like, Dustin's like holding her in interviews and talking about her and like she's there with him and all this stuff. I know it looks cute to most people. I just think it's a really, really bad idea. I don't think it's a good idea in any way, shape, or form. And I gotta say, if Dustin loses in the way he's most likely going to lose, which is probably going to be pretty badly and viciously, he could very likely give his daughter lifelong trauma. So, and again, when you're a kid, you can't process that the same way you can when you're an adult. As a kid, that's cataclysmic. It feels like the world's probably going to end when you see something like that as a kid. I know I've seen things like that as a kid or things similar, and, it took me a while to get over it, get rid of it. Maybe some of it's still stuck with me to this day. Probably not. Mostly. Healed most of it, but maybe certain things are there a little bit. So, I just don't think it's a good idea, even especially for him, too, because you're going to naturally have an elevation in things like serotonin and dopamine and other like love chemicals when your family is around. And that's not going to mix well, oxytocin, things like oxytocin would be another hormone that's going to be elevated. That's not going to help you when it comes to fighting, where you need like cortisol and your adrenaline's going to be heightened. You need to feel a certain sense of anger and dopamine from beating your opponent. You're mixing chemicals that don't mesh well together for a certain purpose, right? So I just think he's making a mistake, and I think it could definitely distract him from what he needs to do by bringing his family and his daughter around like that. I don't think it's a good idea in the slightest. So I just wanted to make a video about it. And I know when I take, fights in the future, I'm definitely not going to be having family around. And I don't think that's a good idea. I don't like that. And it's also like they just like, they're not going to understand. They don't see you as a fighter. They see you as their family member. The way they're going to talk to you is kind of going to take you out of that like warrior mentality you have to put yourself in. So even if I have a girlfriend at the time, she's sure as hell not coming to the fight. I think that's a terrible idea. Like, I'll literally tell her, you can watch from home. I don't care. I don't even bring girls to like workouts because they're distracting and kind of annoying sometimes, lots of times. So, when you need to focus and engage in that warrior mentality, don't bring your family around. Don't bring your girlfriend around. Don't bring anyone around. So, yeah, except for the people that are going to help you kill, metaphorically. But I think he's making a huge mistake. We'll see how it ends. I think he's going to get finished viciously. His skill level is nowhere near Islam's. I think he's going to get destroyed. But we'll see. I kind of want to see him get knocked out, to be honest with you. Kind of want to see him get knocked out. So it is what it is. My name is Angelo. This is The Art of Violence. And as always, until next time.